guys, it's your girl Ashley, and today is a super duper important video that I need to address. I actually really tried to look on YouTube to see if there were any other helpful resources out there that may be able to help you guys if you were to search this, but I actually found very little results. Today's video is going to be talking about racism in the yoga community, and just a heads up, I may have to censor that word just so you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I'm going to be talking about real life experiences that have happened to me over the course of the 5 years that I've been teaching yoga professionally, corporate yoga, yoga for myself and my business and how I represent myself, W-2 or just job type of yoga, at gyms and stuff like that. I'm going to be giving you guys a good perception of what is actually happening in the community, or at least from my corner of the universe. So I appreciate you for listening, and if this relates to you, I'm so happy that, you know, this resonates with you. If this doesn't relate with you and you clicked on this video and you may not be a minority, please lend an ear just so it can be educational or just to shed some light, just so we all have an understanding. So a disclaimer, but not really a disclaimer. I am going to be naming the places. I'm kind of sick of when I used to kind of not say the places, but I think people need to know what are the racist places in Wisconsin. So if you didn't know, I live in Wisconsin, and these are the places that have done this to me, all right? So let's dive in. I have actually kind of a fat list here on my phone. So I'm going to be looking down at my phone. So we're going to paint this picture here. So when you picture yoga, go into a yoga class, who are the students and who is the instructor? Did you picture any minorities, any Black people, Asian people, Latino people, no? We usually, our perception is, or what they tell us to see, I would say, we usually see a white woman, typically probably in her 20s or 30s, skinny, blonde hair, teaching yoga to other white people. And the diversity in the white community is immaculate. You can see people with curly hair that are white, straight hair, short hair, all different colors, types of hair, but I mean, like, not like rainbow colors, but you know, just the standard hair that white people have. But you don't notice or ever see Black people, or like when you see a Black person, a woman, for example, doing yoga, what does she look like? Usually a light-skinned woman, and she has an afro. All Black women don't wear afros. I woke up, this is how my hair looks. I just want to say that. I know some instructors that teach and they have perms. I know instructors that have locks, same as me. When you think of a Black dude or a Black man doing yoga, light skin, maybe a medium tone, and he always has a low cut. There are Black people that practice with high tops, or Black men with high tops and locks and like all of that. And there's not a good representation of that, especially with the advertisement. And for someone that's been advertising yoga for over 5 years, it's sad. Meditation, join me for meditation. It's a white woman, usually not the instructor, but it's usually a white woman in a meditative position. Or a white person is advertised on the flyer. You never see a Black person for an event unless you check Instagram. There are a lot of cool Black instructors out there with great graphic designs for their advertisement, but mainstream, you don't see that. And I just want to address that and make that abundantly clear that we need more diversity in our advertisement to show that yoga is truly for everyone. And that's why I made my business, Ashlee's Crazyyoga, to make wellness affordable and accessible in the community, and to show that there's representation of every type of yoga practitioner. So that's the first thing that irritates me, is the lack of diversity in the community. So I'm going to start talking about real life experiences that have happened to me over the course of these few years. So when I first got hired at the Wisconsin Athletic Club. And this place you may not know of it if you live in a different state or country, but they have 7 locations owned by a white man, and I don't know, it kind of gets watered down by the time it gets to the management. They kind of don't care about the minorities. But anyway, that was kind of a rant. So I got hired, and when I was first teaching, I only had 20 hours of experience. And if you've watched my videos in the past, over the course of two years, I worked towards my 200-hour yoga certificate. So I understand with going into this gym with only 20 hours of experience, I would have a low pay, which I would think I would get a raise for after all the education and letting them know, hey, I'm doing this training for seniors, or I'm going to be learning more about the anatomy, or how to do prenatal yoga, or I'm going into Reiki. And I started, kind of expanding my wellness knowledge. And so when you have more skills, you kind of are expected to have a higher pay, correct? And so when I went to teach, there was an instructor, Louise. She has since moved. But anyway, my first day I was supposed to teach, I was ready. I wrote my class out. I was nervous, but I was ready. So I go into the gym, into the studio, and I see her setting up at the front of the studio. And I'm like, hey, this is my first day to teach. Were you gonna take the class? And she's like, oh, I was gonna teach today's class. Nobody ran that behind or to me. Seems like they kind of ran it behind me. And I'm like, okay. So I already drove all the way here, so I sat and I took the class. I think it's so coincidental because then there was another studio I went to, since has closed, so there's no point in naming it. And she was teaching there as well. I was there as an apprentice, and I was just helping if any of the instructors needed a day off. I was kind of the on-call instructor, getting my feet wet with teaching. And so one of the instructors at the other studio, not the gym, but at the other studio, needed to call in. So the owner was like, hey, do you want to come in and sub? I'm like, sure. When I get there, once again, Louise is there, and I'm just like, are you following me? Because this is weird, and I'm ready to teach, but you keep setting up in front of class. And she kind of talked to me like I didn't know what I was doing, like I didn't know how to teach, and it's just like, it's okay, I'll teach it. I already talked to the owner, and it's all good. I'm like, it's not all good, because I drove here. This is the second time I drove to a place to teach expecting to get paid finally, because I did so many hours of community service. Especially with my training, I don't know, it's different for everyone, but you have to do so many hours of free teaching before you can start, getting paid. It's just to get your experience. And I'm like, well, I mean, I planned and I set aside time to finally be here and teach, and you just kind of keep showing up. Then I brought it to the owner's attention, and she seemed confused. She seemed like she was siding with Louise, but that's the first kind of situation I want to bring up. Being a young Black woman yoga instructor, so many trials I've gone through is people not respecting me because of my age, my race, and thinking I have a lack of intelligence, which is extremely disrespectful. So that was my first encounter, probably 4 years back. So anyway, at the WAC. So when I got hired at the WAC, I signed a piece of paper to work for $12 an hour. Like I said, I was going in only with 20 hours of experience. I was still just a student. Everyone's a student, but like very inexperienced student. So I'm like, okay, I'll take $12. This is actually a lot, because I'm excited, because this is something I'm finally getting paid to do, something I love. I was transitioning from Home Depot, and I was excited about it. Over the course of several months, I started to check my pay stubs, and I'm like, this isn't reflecting $12 an hour. I'm actually losing money. Behind my back, I don't know if the Wisconsin Athletic Club can get sued for this, but they were only paying me $10 an hour. And I had the pay stubs to show that. I brought it to the regular manager's attention, and he acted like he didn't know what was going on. I'm like, can we set aside a time to talk about this just so we can get things resolved or clear things up if it was my misunderstanding? A week went by. I'm like, okay, I need to contact the actual general manager of the gym. We sat down, and so the funny thing about Wisconsin Athletic Club, when they record your hours and attendance of when you're there, they still were doing stuff by hand when I was working there. You had to write the date you were there, what format were you teaching. I was teaching yoga, you know, there's other classes going on like Pilates and stuff. The attendance, how many people took your class, and so on. Basically stuff like that. And it was all recorded by paper or handwritten in a binder. And after the month was over, the manager, he threw all of the records away for that month. I don't know why he did that. And then when I brought it up to the general manager, and we all three of us sat and had a conversation, I had in my Google Calendar still saved of every single day I taught, and I named off every single class I taught, what time it was. Thank you, Google, for that, because you saved me. They owed me $1,200. They were trying to get away with only paying me $5, and they're like, we can call this a deal, you know, sorry about that. I'm like, no, I'm still owed like $600. I'm not good at math, but I know it's probably over $600 I was still owed. And you just want to chop it up, say 500, and that's cool, call it a deal? No. I worked all of these hours. I worked at several locations, driving around, still the same flat rate of $10. It took a minute. I think it took them over a year to get me finally up to $12. It was actually freaking insane, even though I signed a piece of paper and I had proof. So that was annoying. When I referred one of my friends, who she did have more experience than me, she was doing more trainings and stuff like that. But I was, like I said, started from 20, got to my 100-hour, eventually got to my 200-hour. And I think I was already at my 200-hour when I referred my friend. Mind you, I'm still only making like $12 an hour teaching these classes, and I've been there probably 2 years, going on 2 years. When I referred my friend, they started her at $22 an hour or something way above that pay scale, and I'm just like, wow, is it her skin? Because been a loyal person, I'm always referring people to come here, whether it be clients or great instructors I know. And the manager, the first in charge, who I have to go through, he said, we don't really do raises. So, and when we kind of stay in that range of what your pay grade is, where did that pay grade come from? You just kind of pulled it out of the hat? No explanation for that. And, you know, they try to keep it confidential. We don't disclose other people's pay. I'm like, she's my friend. Of course she's going to tell me about it. So, Wisconsin Athletic Club is useless. Anyway, and unfortunately, some of the members were too. My next point is, when I was first starting out freeforming, you can see my old videos of that. My hair was kind of like, you could say it, firecrackers, but don't say that because that's insulting to call somebody's hair firecrackers. And some of the white members came up to me and they kind of started touching my hair and made me uncomfortable. And I'm like, yeah, you know, you're kind of trying to brush it off. If somebody has like a better way to handle situations like that, please comment down below, because your girl is an empath and that's something I really want to work on, is that boundary of, hey, this is my hair, that's your space, you know. But at the time, I started teaching yoga when I was 19. And yeah, but they came up, they were touching my hair and they're like, it's so lively, it looks like fireworks are going off. And I think I even mentioned that in one of my freeform lack update videos about how I kind of felt uncomfortable with that compliment. But just be mindful when you're giving people compliments. You don't have to say it like that and not just be so bold about your ignorance, you know. That would be great. What else? Oh yeah, and then also at the Wisconsin Athletic Club, when I would set up my mat and teach, and this went on for like the 2 years that I was there. Setting up my mat in the front of the studio, some of the white members didn't believe that I was the instructor because, like I said, I was young, I was black, and they're like, "You're the instructor?" Well, yeah, I'm setting up at the front of the room, you know, just, I don't know. Please be careful with the words you choose when you're asking simple questions. They can be simple questions. You don't have to say them in a rude way, please. Yeah. Moving on. Okay, so I actually taught corporate yoga, if you guys didn't know that. Yeah, so the WAC was paying for gas. It was $4, and I was driving 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get to these corporate locations. $4 a week for gas. You can do the math there. That just sucked. Like I said in my actual last video, I was teaching between 12 and 15 classes a week, and this video is about to end, so I'm going. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. I actually need to get a new SD card, but I was basically talking about corporate yoga, and I'll keep it kind of brief. So on accident, I got an email, manager to the corporate place I was teaching at. It was a hospital, and they were discussing pay or whatever. I'm going to tell you this, because people are so afraid to talk about their wages. I was making $16. No, it wasn't even, that was what I was making actually at the end. I think I was making $12 or $14 for offsite. And they were discussing my pay. The WAC was taking like $50 and only paying me like $12 or something like that. My friend who was doing a few offsite places, she was making like $35. Like, what? Is anybody else offended? So, yeah. The pay scale is kind of what they feel like doing at the Wisconsin Athletic Club. So, I accidentally was tagged in that email, and then I got an email shortly after saying, "I didn't mean to send that, disregard the last email." Okay, now I know what the WAC is charging. There's not some fairness here. So, yeah, that was the corporate yoga fiasco. The next place I went to, oh yeah, this was kind of funny. So, if you guys know what Yoga 6 is, I don't know, the management has changed since then, but, so I was subbing for somebody for what is it called? A maternity leave. So I was just gonna sub like probably 6 classes until they came back. So I opened the studio, and there was also issues with the pay. They couldn't figure that out. But I opened the studio and taught my class, and one of the managers took the class. Shortly after the class, didn't tell me how the class should have went. She hands me the manual that they do on their teacher trainings for that facility. How was I supposed to know how you wanted to teach? I know you wanted me to sub a power yoga class, so I'm going to do my style of a power yoga class, right? She hands me the manual and says, "This is how you should have taught it. We should have been in down dog 5 minutes when class got started." What happened to no judgment, no competition? Everybody in that room, I had to bump the heat to 95 degrees in there. It's already hot enough. Everybody in that room had a red face, okay? I don't need anybody fainting. Mind you this, I actually fainted at Yoga 6 a week before I actually was about to teach there. Their classes are too hot. I'm sorry. I was hydrating. I don't really think the instructor handled that well, that situation. But anyway, I was handed the manual and was told, "This is how you should have taught the class." Didn't even say like this was a great class. They just got right to the business. Everybody else in the class seemed to enjoy it. They got a good sweat, but they have these weird standards at that facility, and shortly after, that's the reason why I left. for those wondering. Next one. All right, this is the best one to talk about here. And I'm going to actually have to Google it real quick, but racism at Body by Design. If you've seen my video of why I got fired or how I got fired, the truth of that, it is the truth. I had, you can call her a hag. I had somebody not so nice that still works there try to come at me and say, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. There's all this drama already at that facility, and it's just, I don't know. You can watch the video, but I need to talk about a little bit of racism there. So, do you guys know what implicit bias is? Or implicit bias racism? Do you know what that definition is? Because we're going to ask Siri. Also known as implicit social cognition. Implicit bias refers to the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions in an unconscious manner. These bias, this is kind of not English. These bias, which encompass both favorable and unfavorable assessments, are activated involuntary and without an individual's awareness or intentional control. Residing deep in the subconsciousness, these biases are different from known biases that individuals may choose to conceal for their purpose or social and or political correctness. Rather, implicit bias are not accessible through introspection. So basically, this I'm learning in my yoga therapy training. Being an implicit bias racist person, you have these predetermined ideas of how a certain group of people act or how they think and all of that. And I dealt with that several times. I'm just going to correct you, Sandy. Justin was racist when you saw the situation when Carrie and I walked through the doors of Body by Design. There was a black lady behind us, and Justin said, "Hey, is that your mom?" Even though he knew the history of the relationship I had with my mom. You knew it was racist, I knew it was racist, and Carrie knew it was racist. And even, I'm sorry for the black lady, if she's watching this video, knew it was racist to try to clump black people together. Oh, all black people look the same. That was kind of an unconscious thought. I just want to bring that up because, you know, we need to talk about that. Implicit bias is so prevalent and everyone does it, but I'm working on it. Everyone should be working on it. It's just the predetermined ideas that we were told or ingrained at a younger age, and now working on dividing those ideas and looking through it through a new lens. Like, this is not how all black people act. That's not how all white people act. You know, and so on and so forth with all the different types of groups that we have on this earth, all right? So that's what implicit bias is. We're gonna go back to my checklist. Also, in my video about being fired, they thought I was going to steal. Mind you, I worked at Body by Design for a year, and within that time period, I could have stolen anything. I just want to bring that up. You gave me the key. I was the only person actually opening up the facility. So the fact that you thought I was going to steal on my last day when you're supposed to pay me, and the pay was, they Venmo'd me $20 and gave me two $10 bills. That is illegal, and a lot of people have brought that to my attention that I could sue you guys for that, but I'm not going to. Some of this may be cut out, and there may be some jump frames because I'm kind of ranting. It's irritating. But yeah, that, I don't know, it seemed like I was almost painted as the angry black girl. Why is she coming in here and trying to call us racist? I saw the little things you guys were doing over the, not over the years, but over the months that I was there. You're my manager. I'm not trying to call out my racist manager that cuts me checks. You know what I mean? So being a person not in power, or the person at the top, so to speak, people usually shut up about that when it involves their pay, their livelihood. So now that I'm not there, I don't really care. And anybody that goes to that gym, just know that they rip you off. They're going to charge you high prices. They even charged high prices through the crisis. They didn't really give discounts. And I know they let some of the members go because they couldn't afford it, but that's another story. Anyway, so that's the racism at that establishment, I believe. last thing though about that place. So they tried to say that they weren't racist, even though they have just one token black person at all times. It almost seemed like I was the token black girl, and they're like, no, we hired a black man. Okay, but it's just, why only one? Why not two? Why not have a girl and a boy working there? That's here nor there. Moving past. But anyway, let's bring this video together. Bringing the community together. So, when I search for black yoga instructors in Wisconsin, 0 results. I don't know if it's an algorithm issue or what have you, but honestly, in the state of Wisconsin, at the time of like probably 2 months ago, I only knew of 5 black yoga instructors. I think even including myself, which is extremely sad. But if you go in the yoga directory, there's all of these white instructors, and I feel like minorities need to be highlighted more. There's so many great minority instructors out there, and there's so many great white instructors out there as well. I'm not saying that, but you understand what I'm saying. The algorithm could be worked out a little bit better if you have a preference that you're trying to search for in Wisconsin or in any state in general. I would say it's probably the same issue. So yeah. And then shout out to my friend Balvi. I really hope I'm saying your name right, because your name is really pretty and it means butterfly, and yeah. But shout out to her for creating the Black Wellness Retreat, which I'm super excited to be a part of. It's to support the Black Lives Matter movement. We're going to be hosting a virtual 2-day retreat. There'll be yoga, meditation, all that good stuff. I'm actually doing sound healing on the first day. I'll put some flyers up here, maybe leave some stuff in the description, but totally awesome. All the proceeds go towards the Black Lives Matter movement, and I'm so excited that she put that together to help uplift the minority community of instructors, of our wellness backbone of Wisconsin, I would say. I can't speak for anywhere else, you know, but I'm just really excited that she was able to find all of these awesome black instructors doing good healing in the community. So thank you for that. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for seeing me and hearing me. And I hope this video was helpful for any other minorities that are struggling to make it in the wellness chain of being an instructor, and the hardships and the equality of it, the equal pay, how you should be talked to, how you should be respected, and kind of how people have their implicit bias ideas of, you know, who they think you are. So thank you. Thank you. Even if you're just watching this video, I hope this just shed some light for things that may not be clear, or things that we haven't really thought about because we haven't been through that. I hope this video was helpful for you too. So have an awesome day. Stay blessed. I love you. Namaste.